Hello and welcome back to The Drag Detective, where today we are going to look at more of your Drag Race conspiracy theories, and I'm going to give you my opinions on them, whether I think that they have any validity or whether I think it's just a bunch of hooey. So without further ado, let's get into some of your theories submitted through my Instagram story. First, we have one from Susan Possibly. Hi, Susan. Who said, production paid off Benjamin Cream to quit All Stars 3 for drama. I don't believe that they paid her to quit, but I think that when she was maybe having a bit of a breakdown backstage and, you know, had to send home one of her top 5 sisters and was like, I'm leaving. Give me this whiteout Thorgy, I am leaving. Production was like, oh, interesting. And there's another theory that someone sent in that said that they paid Bebe to lose the lip sync on purpose. That one, I believe. I think that Ben had, you know, the possibility of sending home another person. This would be like her, what, 4th person that she had to, like, send home. It was weighing on her. She was over this. She proved everything she went there to prove. She really didn't care about the 100K. And she's like, I'm leaving. If I have to send someone home, I am going to send myself home. And I think production said, what was that, ma'am? What was that? Sending yourself home? Writing Dela on your lipstick and sending yourself home? Bebe is Harbonite, excuse me, come over here for a second. I truly believe that they were like, Bebe, we will give you the $10,000 as well as Ben. You need to throw this lip sync. And Bebe said, okay, well, I'm not just going to do a terrible job. Let me slay and, like, be winning and then just randomly take off my wig for no reason and throw it. So it was kind of like best case scenario because, like, Bebe was winning that lip sync until she took her wig off. And then Ben won. Ben got to send herself home, make this huge, you know, moment for the show that people still talk about to this day. I do think that production wanted to crown Trixie Mattel, but I don't think they would have if Ben was there at the end. So this was kind of like freeing up them to crown who they want to crown. Let Ben do what she wanted to do anyway. Make a huge TV moment. Bebe gets paid too. Like, I just feel like that is like the perfect storm of everyone leaves pleased. Like, everyone gets what they want. Ben got to leave that environment that was just stressing her out. Trixie ended up with the crown, just like I'm sure WoW wanted the entire time. I feel like that is a very realistic portrayal of what probably happened on the set that day. Okay, this is a very interesting one. Nymphia wins edit proves RuPaul and production did not want to crown her, but the finale lip sync made it impossible for them not to crown her. This one is interesting to me, and I still want to dive deeper into all of this in a Nymphia win video when I have time, but this was a very different finale. Usually they have the finale film like a month before it airs, but because of, you know, the strikes and everything going on, they filmed the finale basically a month, I think, or maybe 2 months after the filming of season 16 ended. So the finale has been filmed for ages and ages and ages. And because of that, they didn't get to see the fans' reaction to the queens. The show was not, like, completely finished being edited. I'm sure that they have parts of it edited, but it wasn't like they had a full product. They got to see everyone's reaction to that full product, like on a regular season, and then they get to choose their winner. No. They were giving Nymphia that edit after already knowing that she was in the top 2. So that was really weird to me. I feel like this theory doesn't make sense because, like, if they film this finale how they usually film this finale, then yes, I think that it would be like a Sasha Velour moment where, like, there's no other choice. But because this was filmed, like, way, way in advance, the whole thing is just a little bit suspicious. And, like, her edit, like, I do want to make that video because I really do want to go and sit through, take notes on every episode and be like, what were they trying to do with this edit? Because it was not a winner's edit. It was not a good edit even. So for someone who they already knew was top 2 and potentially winning because of that lip sync, like, maybe they were just trying to stir up controversy. I don't know. Maybe they weren't expecting her to be as popular as she was. I don't know. But definitely I want to dive deeper into all of this in that video I'm going to make in the future. So right now, this one is, like, unsolved. Okay, some All-Stars are cast to be first out, like Serena and Monica Beverly Hills, but Mayhem was different because she was in on it. I believe in half of this. I don't know if Mayhem was meant to be first out, and I don't know that she was, like, in on it. I think she just truly fucked up. And that happens. But the other two, I think, are fully, like, yes, I agree. That when they cast Serena Cha-Cha, she was meant to be first out. Because, in my opinion, she wasn't even bottom 2 for that episode. I think that her talent show wasn't great, but I don't think it was bottom 2. But because she was put in the bottom 2, she was going home over anybody. So for me, that is like the, yes, she was cast to be first out. In Monica Beverly Hills, I think they were kind of hoping for like maybe a Kylie Sonique storyline of like, let's cast an early out who, you know, is this like trans icon. Let's see what they're like now that they have gone through this whole journey. And I just don't think that it like panned out. But like, to be honest, with the cast of All Stars 8, I feel like half of them could have been first out on the season, and production would have been like, sure, Naysha goes home first, sure, Kasha goes home first, sure, Monica goes home first, sure. So I do think that when they're casting these all-star seasons where, like, you know, they're not all all-stars from the show, I do think that they have a list of, like, any of these queens could go home first, and we, like, don't give a shit. Okay, I think that one of the main reasons that they make very rigged decisions is to draw attention. Fully agree. As we know, whenever there is a rigged decision, like on All Stars 9 this week with Roxxxy and Vanjie winning the makeover over Jorgeous and Plastique, the internet goes into a tizzy. Everyone is saying, you know, hashtag Jorgeous was robbed, hashtag Plastique was robbed, you know, sending hate towards Roxxxy, sending hate towards Vanjie, whatever. It starts a whole discussion and a whole debate, and people are talking, the hashtags are flying, and especially the show wants to be trending. You know what I mean? That is like the ultimate goal is for on Twitter, you go to, you know, the search, whatever, and you see hashtag Drag Race trending. And what's going to get it trending? People hate tweeting as they're watching. Hashtag Drag Race, why did they rob Jorgeous and Plastique? Like, those are the moments that are going to make people want to tweet. Because everyone, when there's a rigged moment, wants to be like, are we on the same page here? Like, did we all just, like, see what happened, or am I crazy? So everyone is tweeting their opinion, and everyone is then backing up each other's opinion, and then they're like, what the hell? And it gets the show trending, and people talk about it for an entire week. Whereas, like, in a week where there's a very fair decision, you know, everything about the episode is fair, everyone's like, great lip sync. That was a great runway. Nice challenge, and we move on with our lives. So I do think that they do purposely want to make rigged moments, not every week, but a couple of them throughout a season so that people are tweeting about it and, you know, talking about it, and it gets trending. Like, I just feel like at this point, we've seen that it works. Like, we've seen that when they do it, we all react, they get the publicity and the trendingness. So, like, why wouldn't you at this point? We all keep coming back anyways. Let's talk about a Roxxxy Andrews one. Very topical since she just got her win on All Stars 9. They were trying to make Roxxxy snap in All Stars 2 and go full season 5, and explains her questionable bottoms. I don't think any of her bottoms are questionable, to be honest. I feel like all of them, I mean, the makeover one is like the worst. I think the one that you could question, but at the same time, everyone but Alaska slayed that challenge. So there's really an argument to be made about any of them winning that, except for Alaska. I think if they wanted Roxxxy to snap, like, I feel like if they wanted to make Roxxxy the villain on All Stars 2, you give her wins. You know what I mean? Then she would be the one sending people home and being the Alaska or the Detox who got ripped apart by the fandom because they were making these, like, you know, strategic decisions that just didn't line up with what the fans thought should happen. So, like, I just don't think putting Roxxxy, it's not like a Jan thing where it's like, if we just keep putting Jan safe or low, she's gonna snap. So I just feel like if they wanted to make that happen, they would have given Roxxxy more, like, let's say for the, you know, history of the world, like, they could have given her the win there and been like, oh no, Roxxxy, what are you gonna do? Something villainous, sending home a fan favorite, perhaps. I feel like that's more the direction they would have gone than trying to, like, purposely put her in the bottom and hope that she snaps. Like, I just don't think that was part of Roxxxy's, like, I mean, I do guess at the top 3 of season 5, when, like, she knew Jinx might be winning, she was, like, trying to, like, you know, like, push down a little bit on her, like, make her feel like shit, hoping that she, like, would stumble. I guess maybe, but I just don't find any of her bottoms questionable. So it's hard for me to believe, like, they were purposely trying to make this happen so that she would, you know, snap and, like, rip these girls to shreds. So, like, I don't know. I don't think this one is valid, but I also think that there was just no option. So, like, she was going to be the bottom bitch of that season, unfortunately. This one says, Runner Eye is secretly an industry plant sent by WoW to troll the masses. And I do actually have proof of this one, and I'm just gonna come clean. So, Runner Eye is actually... Okay, this is a big famous one. Deja Skye lip-synced solo for her Snatch Game win, but it never aired. So many spoilers said it. This isn't a conspiracy. This is, like, basically confirmed. Deja talked about it at Bring Back My Girls. So yes, the mystery of the levitating lip sync has been solved. Okay, so All Stars 4 LaLaPaRuZa was supposed to be 5 duels, so it's 5v5, but they didn't want to lose Valentina before it. This one makes complete and utter sense. I think that this was the first time they had tried the LaLaPaRuZa. What they end up doing is Manila and Monet won the previous challenge, so they're immune. On one hand, Valentina would have went home if they went through with this elimination. Both Monet and Manila were going to send home Valentina, and then it would have been the 5 eliminated girls versus the 5 girls in the competition. I think this one is true because Monique ends up in the bottom despite doing the 3rd best and doing a solid job at the roast, but she's kind of like shoehorned into this like random bottom 4, and then Manila and Monet are saved. I feel like this was definitely to save Valentina from going home because there's no reason they had to do the bottom 4. There's no reason they had to do the non-elimination. I think that they just knew that if Valentina had to try and lip sync back in against anybody who was left in the competition, she was not going to come back in. But there was a chance that Valentina could win against someone who was already gone. Obviously, Valentina was a huge, huge name in All Stars 4 coming in. I think she did end up underperforming, but they still wanted her there for as long as possible because her fan base was so big and so rabid. So I do think that they were like, let's do a bottom 4. Let's do that no one goes home, that Monet and Manila will be safe, and then we'll just have the bottom 4 versus the 4 eliminated queens, and we'll just do that. And it ended up working great because no one went home. Latrice came back, which is exactly what production, I think, wanted to happen from that episode. It was just like the perfect storm. You know, it's just a little bit too perfect, if you ask me. So I think this conspiracy is true. Another LaLaPaRuZa one that I fully believe is Ru intentionally didn't laugh or volley during the season 14 Snatch game to set up the lip sync episode. Yeah, I fully believe this. 1000%. I said it back then. I still believe it now. There are funny moments in the season 14 Snatch game. I think Camden had some funny moments. I think Daya had some funny moments. Obviously, Deja had some funny moments. Was it a laugh riot? No. But I think it was made worse by RuPaul giving them nothing. Because if I'm telling you a joke, you're the viewer, knock knock, who's there? Anita who? Anita vacation, haha, and then you just stare at me like, I'm going to feel like shit. I'm going to say in my head, you are not funny, you've never been funny, you never will be funny. And I'm going to be like, oh, like, it's gonna be awkward. And so like Camden saying a joke to Ru and Ru just giving her nothing, it's going to make Camden get in her head and be more awkward and be like less on the ball. So I think that they were 1000% planning this LaLaPaRuZa. They just needed to justify it. They didn't realize that they could just do what they did on season 15 and just make it a challenge because they had to justify it on All Stars 4. So what's the justification for doing it here? The Snatch game's gonna be a flop. I don't know why they chose that specific challenge when it's like the most important of the season, but I fully think that RuPaul specifically went into that challenge being like, we're gonna have a winner and everyone else is gonna be in the bottom and then you're all gonna have a lip sync. We have the perfect amount of numbers for this. That is, in my head, exactly what happened. The LaLaPaRuZa was planned and RuPaul specifically threw everyone off their game in that Snatch game, worse than they already would have been already, because like, let's be real, that was not a great Snatch game to begin with, but it could have been better, and they could have just had a regular top 3, bottom 3, whatever, 2 people in the bottom and lip sync and go home. But RuPaul had other plans in mind. Production had other plans in mind. This one says, Bebe had Trixie's lipstick in All Stars 3 and didn't want to reveal it because of the fans. I don't know if it's been said by Bebe, but I'm pretty sure Aja, I could be wrong, Aja corroborated this. And if I were Bebe, I would have done the same damn thing. Because if you're going to send Trixie home, she might as well be out of the competition. So the fact that you chose her to go home, but then she stayed, the fans are going after you and Trixie's still in the competition. So you have like, it's a no prize. So like if I were Bebe, I would also be like, I'm not fucking telling you who I sent home. In respect for Dela. I think that was an incredible strategic decision for her career longevity, because we know how the Trixie and Katya fans can be. And that makes sense to me. RuPaul's Drag Race forced Roscoe's to paywall their viewing parties because they're pissed at Naysha's tea. I don't know. I don't believe this one. I think that those two things are separate. Like, they're pissed at Naysha's tea, yes, but I think that Roscoe's just saw other people profiting off of their content and wanted to kind of get a monopoly on it. And on one hand, I will always support people getting their bag. But on the other, I do think it's a bit fucked up to have previously free content suddenly be behind a paywall. It's kind of like what just happened with BuzzFeed Unsolved, the Watcher. If you're giving people things for free, and then you're like, actually, now that it's popular, we're going to make people pay for it. Like, I just feel like that is a little bit of like shady business tactics. But I don't think that RuPaul's Drag Race stepped in. I think that RuPaul's Drag Race, I truly don't know how Naysha and Roscoe's is able to get away with everything they get away with because of the NDAs. Even on Naysha's season, where she was just on All Stars 8 and was spilling shit left and right. I don't know how they get around the NDAs, but somehow they do. And now they also are getting paid big bucks. I actually don't think anyone's paying for the paywall of Roscoe's. Like, I don't think anyone's paying for that. So, no, I don't think that RuPaul's Drag Race, though, like, forced them to do the paywall. I just think that Roscoe's is like, we want our bag. Okay, Darienne Lake was saved from the bottom against Milk because they thought Milk would win. So this is on season 6 during the Oh No She Better Don't rap challenge. I disagree with this because I think Milk was thrown into the bottom. And I guess the Riggory of season 6 will be coming at some point this summer. But I think Darienne and Trinity were probably the worst. And I think they wanted to save Darienne against Trinity, not Milk. I think Milk loses to Darienne or to Trinity. I think Milk was the sacrificial lamb in this case. Because I think that because the song was What a Man, Trinity, I mean, it's just like her vibe. You know what I mean? I think Darienne probably would have lost that lip sync. So I think that they loved Darienne and Ben. They did not want that storyline going anywhere. So they saved Darienne from going home to Trinity, not to Milk. Okay, All Stars 5 was cast on the weaker side so that Shea could get a win. I disagree that All Stars 5 was cast on the weaker side. I truly think the only weak casting on All Stars 5 was India, and India is the only person outside of the top 3 that ended up with a win. If you look at that cast, Derek Barry, sure, on her season she wasn't the best, but she is incredible television. She won a challenge. Her looks have gotten so much better. Derek, I feel like, was always going to be an all-star. Angina had huge expectations. She did not meet those expectations, but I don't consider her weak casting. Mariah Balenciaga, I don't consider weak casting. She's a huge, huge figure in the ballroom community because she's everywhere. She's constantly booked. She is, I think, much bigger than her stint on season 3 of Drag Race. So bringing her back, I think, is kind of a maybe out of the blue casting choice if you don't follow drag outside of the show. But I don't think that she was, like, weak casting. Same with Mayhem. Like, I just feel like Mayhem and Mariah are in the same vein where, like, they're so big outside of the show, and maybe their original stint on the show just didn't, like, show that. So, like, giving them both another shot, I don't think was weak casting. Mayhem also got a win on her first season. Blair St. Clair was in the top the first 3 weeks of the competition on season 10. And then, like, Juju, Shea, Cracker, Alexis, like, those are, like, huge names. So I don't think that they casted that season weak. I think that the challenges were shit on that season and did not allow for the queens to shine as much as you would hope that they could. And lastly, they tested Simone as a replacement for RuPaul. There's been a lot of theories in this that were, like, talking about RuPaul being replaced by Michelle, being replaced by Raven, being replaced by Bob. I don't think they're going to plan on replacing RuPaul. I truly don't. I think that she might take on less. You know, she's probably not going to do Down Under. I could see her not doing UK anymore. But I don't think that there's going to be a Drag Race US season without RuPaul for the foreseeable future. Because RuPaul is still there. She's still spry. She might not know who any of these bitches are the second they leave that stage, but she can still host. She still can perform, sort of. And she has it in her to continue this show. So I think for right now, they're not looking at anybody to replace her. I think that right now, they're like, we're just going to do Drag Race with RuPaul as long as we can. And when she can't do it anymore, then we will have to, like, have those conversations. But I just don't think that yet they're like, well, maybe if we have Simone, or if we have Sasha Colby on. Like, I just don't think that they're there yet. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Ru about to die. She's not. And I don't think we're going to lose Ru anytime soon. Well, that is all of the conspiracies that we have to talk about. Some of them have been solved. Some of them I feel like kind of solved themselves. And some of them will just continue to be in the pantheon of Drag Race conspiracies, never to be solved. So let me know in the comments below what you think of these conspiracies and if I missed any that you think should have been discussed. We also have less than a week left on the Drag Duel Season 2 Indiegogo campaign. So we would love to cross the $1,000 mark. We would love any support that you could possibly give to our season. It is so good. We're filming it right now. We're in round 4, and I truly am putting so much hard work and effort into this season to make it as good as humanly possible. So any help that you could give would be incredible, and we would appreciate it. So thank you for that. The links to all of my social medias are in the description below. I'm currently doing the rigged recap with Kayla Says for All Stars 9. I think that is everything. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.